continue here tonight. Alexandra residents living in the Jukskei River fear for their homes. It follows torrential downpours in Gauteng over the weekend. Let's take you live to our reporter, Zikhona Tshona. She's live for us from the northern Johannesburg township. Zikhona, good evening. When we look at the situation facing Alexandra residents, it really doesn't seem to change over the years. And I wonder, Zikhona, with the number of fatalities that we see over the years, especially during rainy periods like what we're experiencing now, has there been a difference of approach in terms of trying just to make sure that people don't keep relocating to that area?
You'll remember, Kathy, a few years ago, people who lived really close to the river were moved from that area, but the houses are still relatively close. And what is concerning is that since we've been here, we've seen children playing very close to that water. And of course, you remember in 2016, the body of a young boy was found a few kilometers away from here after flooding. Residents say after this weekend's rainfall, they are relieved that it did not cause any damage to their homes. We spoke to a resident who says he works night shift, and every time there are heavy rains in Gauteng, he fears going to work, leaving his family behind. He has a 15-month-old baby, saying the last time it rained, it caused havoc to their homes. The water came into their homes at around 4 o'clock in the morning. So saying that for him, going to work and leaving his family, particularly when it's raining, is concerning. And as far as this weekend is concerned, we can see the water levels are relatively high, but the skies are starting to clear here in Johannesburg, and residents saying that they have not seen many tragedies recently. But they're also saying there have been promises to put water near this water to stop it from flowing into their homes, and that promise has not been made. So as far as their livelihoods changing, not much change there. They're saying when it rains, they still become anxious. They still fear for the worst.
Zikhona, one of the other concerning things is that, you know, the character of this area, the face of this area, is simply not changing. And year on year, the challenge that has been experienced, particularly in emergency situations, that makes it difficult even for first responders to get to the scene. And I'm looking behind you just at the view of just how congested the houses there remain, shacks being built in close proximity to each other, and often when it floods, it means that many of those shacks would be affected at one go.
And as you've mentioned, it's also difficult for emergency services to get through to this area. You literally have to park on the road and walk in. So that also, there's a challenge there with regards to emergency services responding to tragedies here. And that's also something that residents have raised as a concern. But also people saying that they don't have alternative homes to move to. These are the only homes they have, and they don't see themselves moving anywhere else, given the fact that this is close to where they work. Their children are already going to school here. So it's really difficult for people here to see themselves living anywhere else. For them, the only option is for government, and as far as the municipality is concerned, for example, to try and make sure that the risk that could be caused by this water are minimized. They want rocks to be placed near the body of water so that when it rains heavily, there is some kind of blocking in terms of the water going into their homes, because they're saying when it rains, their furnitures are destroyed and their homes are actually destroyed. So they just, even though they don't see themselves moving out of here, they do call for change. They do want better living conditions. And as you've seen over the past weekend in particular, the cold as well as those heavy rains, living here, as I stand here, I can already feel the cold wave coming into here.
Well, certainly one has to question why it is that, over and over, the same conversation is being had about that community, but certainly nothing is changing. And when tragedy hits, it is the same commitments, same promises made again. Newzroom Afrika reporter Zikhona Tshona. But